Talking with Jerry.
Hey, it's Black History Month. So twice a week in the month of February, I'm going to be bringing you two short stories about things in Black history that you probably don't know. Definitely didn't learn them in school. Just some little tidbits about Black history that unless you're a scholar or you really go in depth in reading about the role of African Americans in this country, you really wouldn't have any idea that maybe these things even happen, at least with the education that most people get. And the way this country is heading with all this CRT crap, young people are really got to do a lot of research on their own. So let's get started. This will be short. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Two Black history facts tonight that you didn't know about. And I'll be giving you two more later this week. So first, these are things that, one, are historical, but you didn't know. But there's one that I'm going to do each time to show you how things done by the government actually impacted African Americans adversely in a very and shocking way that most people, as I said, have no idea that these things that ever happened. So did you know that when we start talking about Black history, you could even look at this 1619 project, which is very controversial, put out by the New York Times, that it kind of gives almost the start of African Americans or Black people or people brought from Africa to America as the beginning. But it was in 1513, 106 years before that, that 5 Black men arrived in Florida with Ponce de Leon. Okay, so before Jamestown, Virginia, we know the Spanish were here in Florida first, and there were free Black men who came as explorers with Ponce de Leon. So maybe we should say that's the beginning. There were also, a few years later, 1565, a settlement was started in St. Augustine, Florida. About 800 colonists came with some soldiers and conquistadors. And out of those 800, 50 of them were Africans. Now, some were free and some were slaves. And that was also in Florida. Very beginning of this country. First in Florida, not in Jamestown, Virginia. Then, after the Spanish settled in Florida, before they were run out, the Dutch settled in New York. And a free Afro-Portuguese Black man named Jan Rodriguez, who was from Spain, arrived with the Dutch in 1613. And as you know, that was New York City, but it was named New Amsterdam when the Dutch settled there. And the people didn't know how to deal with this Black man who was there with the Dutch. And he was so good at making trades with the Indians that were the native tribes there, that the Dutch East India Company, when they left Manhattan Island to go back, to then bring back more settlers, they left him behind, and he actually set up one of the first trading posts in Manhattan Island and even traded with the Indians across the Hudson River in New Jersey. So that's also an early start of Black history here in the United States before 1619. So that's some beginning of history. So I want to jump ahead here. And now, as I mentioned in the beginning of the episode about things that the government did that were, you could say, state-sponsored, that I'm sure you didn't learn about in school. And that's the state of Oregon. Yes, Oregon. You probably don't know that Oregon was, one of the last states to come into the Union out in the West. And it was kind of like open territory, frontiersmen. The British kind of claimed it, which, part of British Columbia. And these settlers that went there in 1844 created a provisional government. They weren't a state yet. And in that government plan that they had something called an exclusion law. And that exclusion law stated specifically that blacks who tried to settle in Oregon would be publicly whipped with 39 lashes, repeated every 6 months until they left the state. The state was going to be a white man's state. Now, what's interesting is you had black frontiersmen who were going out west and exploring that part of the country. But yet, when these few white settlers went there and established their provisional government, before they were trying to make Oregon a state, they wanted to make it a white man's land. And once they came into the Union and became a state, the United States, through the Donation Claim Act, gave 320 acres of land to any white man 18 or older. So here, a state comes into the Union, black people can't even live there by their own state constitution, which took a while to get everything changed, but white men, settlers, were encouraged to come from other parts of the world, come to Oregon, and we'll give you 320 acres of land for free. So that's probably two things that you didn't know about Black history that you know now. And I'll be dropping 2 other gems, important information in the next day or 2 for this week's 2 episodes of 2 things you didn't know about Black history. So be sure to tune in, to like and subscribe, because twice every week in February, I'll be passing on some information that I bet you probably didn't know.